What's up, everybody? It's your girl Rosalie. We're all about world music, psychology, mental health, and more. And I want to check something out that I'm not sure what to expect of, but there's an artist named Dababy, and he is a rapper. Big name, over 11 million subscribers, but I don't know him. I'm late to the party, but that's all right. This one's called Save Me, and I was asked to review this, and that's what I'm going to do. All about world music and psychology and mental health. What is this one about? Are you ready? Make sure to subscribe and support Dababy and support me here too. If you love music, if you love mental health and psychology, buckle up, you guys. He's a rapper, right? Dedication to Irina Zarutska. All right, here we go.
This is video surveillance of the night. Irina Zarutska enters the blue line at the East-West Boulevard station stop. You can see she takes a seat directly in front of DeCarlos Brown, the suspect. At first, nothing seems unusual, but 4 minutes later, he pulls out what appears to be a pocket knife and suddenly stabs Zarutska multiple times.
God have
Zarutska then
mercy.
collapses. As Brown walks to the front car, takes off his sweater, and wraps his hand before exiting the train. Police arrested him on the platform shortly after.
You think you can save me? Oh, you think you can save
What?
me?
Think you could save me like you got or something? I've been put up out the way, I ain't been starting nothing. I done spent a couple million on them lawyer fees. Cause when you really stand on business, it's gon' cost some money. And I looked at shit like it was normal, it was off the muscle. When I get back and start performing, it's gon' cost you double. When I stay silent in my morals, yeah, it cost me plenty. When I'm inside her, it's like water, she gon' toss me under. So where the lifeguard at? Cause I'm not tryna float away, I'm just tryna know your name. Every time you see him out, act like you don't know them lames. Every time I'm leaving out, I watch out 3 of my mirrors and check the cameras before I leave the house. Make sure ain't no snakes around my land, I gotta weed them out. Better stay out my face, cause I'm a man and I'll bleed you down. A man, I wanna see you smile. A man, I wanna see you strong. A man, I wanna see you down. A man to tell you come outside. A man, I wanna see you now.
You think you can
Right now. Yeah, like I wanna see you right motherfucker now. Like, get here.
save me?
Think you could save me like you got or something? I've been ducked off out the way, I ain't been starting nothing. Cause I done spent a couple million on them lawyer fees. And spent some more on people say I never bought them nothing. They say they love you, then they act like they ain't never love you. You go through shit and yeah, you act like it ain't never nothing. That young and hurting, he need love, so you can't tell him nothing. He got that 40 in his backpack, he ain't scared of nothing. They think they know you, niggas act like you a hoe or something. Them niggas playin', you gon' blow it, you gon' show them something. Them niggas acting like you owe them, you don't owe them nothing. No 9 to 5, you rather post up at the store or something. And we can't save you.
You think you can save me?
You know, and it's just some people, man, unfortunately, you know, man, we can't save them, you know what I'm saying? I might be one of them. I might be one of them niggas, you know, baby, you can't save, nigga. And I ain't looking for you to save, man, and be more grateful. I'm gonna put my faith in God.
Wow. Jonathan Dababy Kirk. Okay. Okay, Dababy. You got my attention.
You think you can save me? Oh, you think you
All right. I didn't know who Dababy was. Heard of that name, but don't listen to his music. He got my attention now. First of all, I'm gonna try to not necessarily like disassociate, but let me separate for a second my emotions because this had me at the verge of my tears. His voice is awesome. I love the timbre and the structure of his voice, and it helps me get my thoughts organized by just looking at things in categories, I suppose. So, number one, the track was dope. I love how that hook kept coming back. You think you can save me. And it had this almost angelic, distant feel, which I think is helpful because this is very emotional. I was holding my breath part of the time. And so having this part loop, almost choir sounding, but almost like through a phone, almost like through a distant call, it creates a little bit of this space of it feeling like immediately around you and like an immediate threat. And that kind of helps emotionally to perceive a threat visually, but to hear these voices almost like coming in through a vocal box separately. His voice, the timbre of his voice is amazing. I love that warmth, the grit, that rasp to it, and I loved his cadence flow. I haven't heard any of his other songs, but it was very melodic and it was very much soothing and melodic and clear. I appreciate when rappers, can enunciate and I can hear what they're actually trying to say. But I just love the timbre of his voice, very unique. The track, like I said, catchy and flowing, but also sombering and like ballad like, which was very fitting to the topic. I think it's beautiful he was using his platform and his voice to do a tribute to Irina. Uh my bad, let me go back. To Irina Tsarutska. Heavy to watch, part of it being the real news footage, a lot of it being, of course, the actors. But it was really heavy to watch. And I think the lyrics are powerful because there's a double entendre going on here. Calling it Save Me, I think, is brutally painful and honest because if I'm not mistaken, that's what she was saying. I don't know if she was calling for help or silent or said save me or help me or something, unless my brain is mixing that up with a different news story. But to then call it Save Me and to have a conversation about all the things that are part of this is really a multi-layered conversation. For one, questions like you think you can save me, you think of God or something, you can help me, puts in perspective this young woman who came to the States from the Ukraine, supposedly trying to escape the war, start a new life, and needed someone to save her. Would have needed God to step in, would have needed another person to step in to make a difference. So a conversation about her side of things, but then also looking at the perpetrator side of things. And at first I was concerned because I thought, is this, excusing the perpetrator, the criminal, because he had a hard life and that's just how he is? But the more that I listened, the more I felt like that's not the picture that Dababy's trying to paint here. I think he's putting the humanity into what is happening and how broken so many people are. Not to excuse the crime, but to have a conversation about the brokenness of people that leads them to this to begin with. And I think by doing so, he may just be looking at the root of the issue, which I think we need to do if things like this don't keep happening. We need to look at the root of issues beyond just being so tribal and taking a side and labeling things and going, oh, that was just mental health issue. Oh, this was just racism. Oh, this was just that. And because it gives us a sense of control and safety, we box people in, we label them. You're the bad guy, you're the good guy, or vice versa. You did this for that reason and you did this for that reason. And sometimes that's true. And sometimes it's all of the above. And sometimes it's complicated. But to realize these are broken people and it would have taken somebody stopping him. It would have taken somebody actually trying to save, paying attention to the pain, but maybe also knowing that darkness in oneself to recognize it in another, that maybe that's when these things happen less. When we put the humanity back in things, not to excuse people's sin, but to, look at me falling off the handle, but to understand that a lot of the crap that happens in this world is because hurt people are hurting people, because there's so much brokenness where a system has failed, where we are failing one another. And so I appreciate that as much as we want to say, oh, wait a minute, but there's no excuse. And oh, wait a minute, the only victim here is Irina. Yes. And also, what happens in people that mental health issues are through the roof? What is going on in our society that people are losing their minds and shooting places up and hurting innocent children? What is going on that anxiety and depression are running rampant and people are lonelier than ever before? I believe, especially here in the West, people are on their phones, people are isolated, the media is polarizing us left and right, and people are growing increasingly anxious and depressed. And then you have someone with already a pre-existing condition and they just lose their dang mind because there was nobody. You think you can save me? You think you can save me like you got or something? I've been put up out the way. I ain't been starting nothing. I don't spend a couple million on them lawyer fees. And so this part could be about Dababy's struggle himself. Possibly, I saw some videos saying, oh, is he being canceled again? Maybe him being put out the way, maybe him talking about his own obstacles, maybe even a conversation. He's a big rapper. millions of subscribers. Maybe him also opening that conversation of saying, I've been put out the way. I've been having to spend money on lawyers. I've been, people come after me. I've done crap. I've had hard times. And putting himself in the place of someone like the perpetrator, understanding that there's not much that separates us. When you're rich and famous, it is important to stay humble and remember there's not that much of a difference between us. The guy that's about to lose his mind and maybe has nothing to lose, and someone that's rich and famous. They both may be coming from the same place. They both may have seen trouble. One's life went this way, the other person's life went that way. One maybe caught a break, the other didn't. It's complicated. It isn't sometimes as simple as just do the right thing. That's a part of it. Your choices matter. But it's also more complex than that. So it puts the humanity in things. I'm seeing a note of empathy here, possibly, and a way of making himself relatable and sharing his own trials, maybe. Because when you really stand on business, it's going to cost some money. And now here I'm seeing a conversation, again, maybe partly about his own life, the millions he had to spend on lawyer fees and standing on business and doing his thing and trying to be somebody and make a name for himself, and it costing him money and in other ways. But maybe also a conversation here about saying, hey, if we want these things to change, these killings to end, it's going to cost us something. It would have cost someone to stand up and stop this guy. If they can stop him fast enough, it would have taken people rushing to Irina's help. Because from what I heard in the news, at first, nobody did anything, supposedly. So this also is a conversation about it costs something if we want to stand on business, if we want to make a difference. I looked at Ish like it was normal. It was off the muscle. Here, perhaps a conversation about desensitization, which is happening in real time. We got desensitized by music videos, gaming, movies, and we look at stuff like it's normal. People on the train acting like this is not a thing. So used to violence, so used to crime that they're not realizing this girl is literally breathing her last. Off the muscle. When I get back and start performing, it's going to cost you double. Interesting. I'm going to come back with force, perhaps. When I stayed silent in my morals, it cost me plenty. When I'm inside of her, it's like water. She going to toss me under. Now, we got some, what sounds to me like sexual references, but another double entendre here, perhaps, about things having a price, about, even though, it sounds like a sexual situation here, it's a conversation about the cost of things. It costs you something. You get in bed with the wrong people, it's going to cost you. You don't stand on morals, it's going to cost you. So where's the lifeguard at? Because I'm not trying to float away. And now that's powerful because, again, even though this, is a sexual reference, it's that double entendre, this idea of I don't want to drown. I don't want to float away and be forgotten and be left. Painful lyric also because of the situation with Irina and her literally bleeding out, her blood floating out of her, no help, no lifeguard in sight. Lot of play here on words and language. Trying to know your name. Powerful because a lot of times in these tragedies, that's often something people are saying, say her name, right? We're going to remember this person. Every time you see him out, act like you don't know them, lames. Every time I'm leaving out, I watch all 3 of my mirrors and I check the cameras before I leave the house, making sure ain't no snakes around my land. A lot of references here to, I think, Dababy's own experiences and being surrounded by snakes and having to put out money for lawyers and his own struggles, but still also talking about that life of having to always look over your back. Snakes. And this too could be a double entendre. That perpetrator that took Irina's life being the snake, her as a young woman always having to watch her back. As a woman, I can totally relate to that, where now you got to be aware that you don't have anybody behind you and you want to sit with your back against the wall if you're in a train, constantly looking over your shoulders. It's hard when you live in a day and age where you feel like a threat's everywhere. That's not healthy for our nervous system to constantly be on guard. But I feel like these are powerful double and triple entendres because it could also be a nod to whoever this perpetrator was. That was also the life he might have been living. Out on the streets, violence, desensitized, maybe mental health struggles, no support system, looking over his shoulders, looking into his 3 mirrors, maybe also a nod to him not being quite right in the mind, right? When you're looking in mirrors and you're seeing snakes and you're always on guard. Possibly also a nod to mentally being unwell. A man, I want to see you smile. I want to see you strong. I don't want to see you down. Tell you come outside. A man want to see you now. And to me, this is powerful because maybe that's not how we meant it, but how I take it is that's what it would take for a lot of people. Of course, it also requires deep therapy and medicine, and some people need to just be securely taken care of and locked away somewhere and get help there because they're a threat to society. But it makes you think if there would have been just one man to tell this man, hey, what you're doing is not okay, you need help. I see you. I want to see you strong. You're not strong. The man with the knife was not strong, even though he killed somebody and he had the upper hand in that moment. He was not strong. He was weak. He was enslaved to his confused mind. He was a slave to his perverted mind, to his desire for violence, possibly, or perversion or confusion. He was a slave to that. He wasn't free. He wasn't strong. So one man to say to another, especially one black man to another man, a man that knows that hood life, most likely, I'm assuming, the baby probably knowing that rapper life, the hood life, saying to another man, I want to see you strong. There's so much power in coming together, especially if you know what some of that world is like, and saying, you could do better. I want to see you smile. I want to see you rise up. How many of us would operate so much differently if we had someone who said that to us, especially someone who knows that life, who knows where you've been or knows where you've come from? It's so powerful. I want to see you write MRF for now, like get here. You think you can save me? I want to see you write mother effing now. Get here. Think you can save me like God or something. Don't spend some more on people who say I never brought them nothing. They say they love you, then they act like they ain't never love you. You go through that issue, act like it never nothing. That young and hurtin', he need love, so you can't tell him nothing. See, and hear that young and hurtin'. I feel like that's a conversation about both. Both Irina hurting, literally, a young woman trying to start a new life, but also this young man, the one who caused her harm, hurting, needing love. You can't tell him nothing. And I could see some people getting mad here, saying, oh, no, he didn't need love. He's the perpetrator. Lock him away. It's death penalty. But we need to understand that, again, like I said in the beginning, that's often the root, is that we are not addressing the sickness at the core. And we got people snapping, and then we demonize those people. And don't get me wrong, there is no excuse for these actions. But we don't look behind and go, what happened in the first place? This was someone's son once. This was a little 4-year-old who went down a path in his life, who lost his mind, and now it caused so much suffering. And Irina did not deserve that. And it's a conversation that I think we got to have. And I respect it coming from someone who's in that life or knows that life. And I don't know him personally or his heart or his mind or what he did or didn't do. So, he may not be making good choices either. But I think there's something powerful when you know someone who's been there and says, hey, I want to see you strong, though. We got to do better, man. Okay. And in a lot of the lyrics, 9 to 5, you'd rather post about the store or something and we can't save you. I think here also a conversation about, the violence and that lifestyle of posting about the store. You can't save him. You can't save you can't tell these young kids nothing. And so there's that dilemma here between, I want to see you strong. Something's got to give. I got to stop you from hurting other people. I want to help you stop hurting. But also a conversation about, I can't save you, because sometimes that's the response you're going to get. You want to save people and help them, and they go, you got her something? You can't help me. You can't save me. So it's an honest conversation in my mind also about that struggle. I might be one of them, You can't save, and I ain't looking for you to save me. Be more grateful. I put my faith in God. Very interesting lyrics, and I feel like it could go either way. Is the conclusion, you can't save me? You can't change people's lives? You can't decide for them? Or is this a conversation about, hey, man, something's got to give? What are your thoughts on this one? Heavy but important conversation. Let me know in the comments, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next ride. Heyo.